which is great. Okay, yeah, fine. Yeah, and we do record these when I usually remember to press record. Oh, great.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Well, Rob usually definitely enters into the discussion, so you're welcome to as well. Mhm. Well, honest to goodness, this is a meeting. It's much more informal than like Open Meetings Act kind of things because we're it's sort of we do it on Zoom and people that join can you know even though we have public comment, I don't think we've ever not allowed folks to participate in the conversation. So
Right.
mhm. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to either interrupt or raise a hand or whatever, you're welcome to do that. Uh-oh. Well, then we'll get you on the committee so you can do some work. Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I heard
Is
from
everything okay
Christopher
with
Rowe and
Rob?
Karen Duff, I think can't attend. Elizabeth Laporte is she's finalizing some of her mom died and kind of going through all of that. So we're minus a few folks tonight. Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Actually, he's on.
Oh,
I chatted with him beforehand, and since he's not
hey Rob, hi.
Hi,
since
gang.
he's not recording tonight, he's just going to sit and listen. And he said, that's really okay. I can do that. So
Awesome. Yeah, it's good to hear. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. It's nice to have the backup because sometimes I forget to press record. It's always embarrassing. All right. Hi, Kathy. How are you?
Good. How about yourself?
Oh, yeah, I
Are
feel
you-
like I don't know. I tried to get away for 4 days. It's the first time in like 4 years. And
Ooh.
it took me 8 hours to coordinate my mom's care and another like 4 or 5 hours to plan the trip. And it's like now I've been trying to catch up. It's just a crazy time.
Yeah.
But it was wonderful. We went to Death Valley and
Oh,
um
nice.
I have to say that I was really amazed at the diversity of the landscape, and we did a lot of hiking, and it was really nice.
Where was it?
Death Valley National Park. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we got a little sliver of a metal piece in a tire of the rental, and I'm going, oh my God, what am I gonna do? And it's Saturday night, and the guys that rent in Furnace Creek that rent the Jeeps, they also have this little car repair thing. I'm going, okay, well, wonder how much it's going to cost. We had done the spare tire and had the other tire off, and we think we found the metal. And we went over there on Sunday morning, right? He's running, a Jeep. We'll be with you in just a second. Honest to goodness, found it. Yep, that was it. They plugged it. $20.
Wow.
awesome.
I know. I mean, where do you find that? I have to say, almost everyone we ran into there, whether where they were staff or whatever, were overly friendly. I mean, just really out, and it felt very genuine, not like this is my job to stuff.
Where was that?
It was really neat.
Where was that, Jen?
Death Valley National Park. Yeah, we used all our air miles. So.
Good evening, Jan. This is
Hey,
Jeff.
Jeff. Good to see you. Hi,
Hi.
Tim.
Well,
All
or
right.
hear me anyway.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to hop off fairly quickly this evening. I got something else going on, but
Okay,
I do
well,
have a
we can move you
couple
guys
items
up.
to contribute. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All
I
right.
know that Bob Hyde has been in this meeting for the last 40 minutes.
I told her we were early, Tim.
So look I'm just finishing dinner. I'll be along in a moment.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. All right. Let me go. Okay. 2, 1. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and hit record and we can get rolling here.
Recording in progress.
All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the February 1st, 2024 Environmental Task Force meeting. And with that, anyone want to add anything to our agenda? It's pretty long, but okay, then I'll consider it adopted by consensus. And any communication or correspondence that anyone would want to I'm just going to talk about a little bit about the correspondence with the Meyer folks. Hi, Dana.
Hello.
Good to see you, but we're not seeing you. All right. Public comment. Any folks who are joining us that want to participate prior to our business agenda?
Yes, that's
Hey,
Pam Boyd. Tomorrow is Candlemas, also known as the middle of winter. And I just wanted to let you know it's going to feel like spring the next 2 weeks. Don't get overexcited, but tomorrow is halfway point to the end of winter.
Yay.
That's my comment.
Thanks.
Oh, well, as long as we're making public service announcements, I'd like to point out that today is National Dark Chocolate Day.
Ooh.
I haven't
So-
celebrated yet.
It is not too late to go out and celebrate. Just letting you know, I have suitably prepared. So later on, I will be celebrating.
Awesome.
Jonathan. That's awesome. Yeah, because we're working on the tree fund policy, and part of that is also working on reforestation of some of the, preserve areas. And a tree list is going to be a part of that. I'm glad to share any of that information too, Jonathan, too. That's awesome. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. That's really neat. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, because that's we just did a Norm Roller. Norm, are you on? he's working on the tree canopy satellite data and calculations. And the tree canopy in Scio is the average is somewhere, I mean, we'll publish the final one, but it's somewhere in the like over 50%, which is really, it's very substantial. And we definitely have areas that we can improve that, which is really cool. But anyway, Jonathan, if you would be open to just doing, I don't know if you have a synopsis of what you're doing or whatever, I'd love to share it with Anna. Uh-huh. Mhm. It says draft. Yeah, right. Yeah, because maybe there's some support there or whatever. But anyway, yeah, well, that's great. Oh, Jonathan, thank you. Kathleen.
Hi, I want to piggyback on Jonathan. I actually want to pick his brain. For the past 10 years, I've been eradicating invasive species in my neighborhood, or my lot, 3 other lots in the utility line, and along Craig Road. And I've just devoted about a quarter acre. I have an acre to with feral floral to put in native wildflowers. So Jonathan, and I just removed 3 Norway maples, which I found out were invasive. So those just were cut down this winter. So Jonathan, I'm in need of some white or red oaks because I live in a mature oak and hickory forest. It's one of the few areas that it's not old growth, but we have 150-year-old trees. One that came down on my own property was 175 years old. We counted the rings. So I want to reforest what I can for the oak species. We got plenty of hickories. So if you're buying any oaks, let me know. I would be happy to join in on that effort. Thanks.
Yeah, Kathleen, one of the things we're trying to get some data on it, but we do have oak wilt in Scio, and they destroy both the red oaks in less than a year and white oaks in a year. Skyline had some in their beautiful oak forest.
Yeah, and I live very close to Scio, but I would love to see something in ordinance that controls what contractors do to use spikes on climbing these trees. There's one contractor that comes through our neighborhood who solicits people for cutting down. He uses spikes. I won't let him on my property. He doesn't have a peddler's permit, and he just goes and sort of feasts on, I think, vulnerable populations of elderly people, and he's decimating stuff here. But he uses
because if he uses those spikes,
absolutely, and
you're gonna just attract that.
Yeah, and I'm using Jay's Tree Service for some stuff that came down in storm damage, and he was all about, we can't do this until the first frost. And
exactly.
But we have plenty of people trolling my neighborhood who have no problem doing that when the storms come in.
That's a really interesting point. I'm wondering if we can, with now that we have he's code enforcement, but how do we, really get out the word about, just the damage that you can cause by not
wilt,
not pruning or dealing with your trees in a proper manner.
Scio newsletter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could have an article on oat wilt specifically, and then include some of these other issues to warn homeowners of such activity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Jan, can we have any inclusions in ordinances about doing those improper techniques? Because I would turn that company in a heartbeat.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because I'm not sure it isn't a zoning ordinance. It would be a general ordinance. That's a good point. And that would be a Mariah and a BOT question. Because it's certainly related to protecting our natural features. Yeah.
And I
Interesting.
keep asking if we have somebody who's an expert at oak wilt that can help people identify when they have a problem.
Mhm.
And other than hire somebody that come out for $75 and you don't know whether you're paying it for a good reason or just peace of mind, and
Yeah.
people can't afford that.
Or what kind of certifications are important when you're doing work on your trees? It shouldn't be low bid, whoever's, clearing stuff in the neighborhood. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There are certified people that are the MSU extension lists.
Oh, perfect.
And I think Fryer might be on the list, but
Yeah, and I'm using Guardian. I think they're good, and you can ask for if people want to make sure they're getting the best price or whatever. You can ask for a couple people to. Yeah, that's a good thing. Thank you. We'll look at the MSU extension because that could be something that we actually put in the newsletter then and alert people to that. Rob.
Hi. At the last Planning Commission meeting, Laura Krebs brought up the solar
Mhm.
and the map for the power lines that would enable close proximity to open spaces for solar. And I talked about Norm Roller's canopy maps of Scio Township. Do you know, did Laura and Norm get together?
They haven't yet, but definitely the intention is it makes no sense to take mature trees and cut them down to allow for solar. I mean,
Absolutely.
that makes no sense. So I think and part of that is, looking at that mapping and Norm is, and he's not on. Norm is actually going in for some surgery on February 12th, and we're trying to get all the mapping done before that. I don't know if he has Parkinson's, and so he's getting an implant, which will hopefully improve his quality of life. So
yes, good.
Yeah. But he's we were over there actually. Anna and I went over to his house because it's hard to see it on Zoom, and we're fine tuning the canopy and how we're looking at. There's a 30% canopy coverage is sort of a I don't know. It's a minimum for residential areas. And so we're going to take some blocks and he's going to screen, the residential developments, primarily the R1s and, some of the PUDs that are more dense, just to see what those averages are and see if we have any that are below that threshold. And those would be priorities for some of the planting. But I mean, the number one is like reforestation, like you're doing, Jonathan. That's sort of, I'm kind of going into a peak preview of the policy, but the idea is that you want to extend the canopies that we have because of, supporting the benefits are much higher when you enlarge existing contiguous woodlands. So that's sort of the first priority. And then what are the other priorities is the discussion. So anyway, yeah. Okay.
Good discussion.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
All right. So the next section is really, go ahead. Oh, cool. Cool. Okay. Yeah, very neat. Yeah, Norm is into like pixels and blobs, and I learned more about satellite mapping than oh, it's amazing. You can tell, like Dina, he said he was so happy with the surveying you did because they can tie then what they're seeing with the satellite, and they can actually identify those crops. They can,
Right.
yeah, it's pretty amazing. Yeah. All right. Okay, we're focus group updates. Energy. Just wanted the biggest update there is working on the community energy management grant. And I have to say, I mean, Brandon is, taking on utilities, a lot of new energy. He doesn't know a lot about buildings. Kevin knows a boatload about buildings. So we've, the hires that Scio has made, a whole bunch of improvements. And so I was able to share, all the energy audits and so forth that we've done. We do need to audit the fire station. They didn't, and this is my firm that I'm retired from. I had to go get all the closeout documents and everything because those they had been reviewed and sent to the contractor, but the contractor never sent them on to the owner. So we were able to complete that cycle. But the performance isn't where it should be. So an energy audit would help that. And so we'll look at the community. They just upped it from 25,000 to 100,000. And so hopefully we'll be able to use that for sure to help on the determining the systems and so forth for the township hall. And Kevin and Brandon have put the replacement in the kind of next budget. So we're looking at all electric systems, Geo, VRF, and well, actually hybrid VRF, and then a heat pump with a gas backup for the rooftops. Anyway, natural ecosystems and water. Is anyone here from that group? Oh. You know what? I have not talked to Marty in a while. Has anyone seen Marty?
No.
I
Yeah,
better check in on her.
yeah, I haven't seen Marty, but she was out west on the West Coast and she got sick
Oh,
and had a time in the hospital. That was about a week ago. Last I knew about her, and
okay.
I think she's, healing up and
Mm-hmm.
she'll be back on it.
Okay. Yeah. So the natural ecosystems is basically that, the tree canopy data. The other thing that Norm's working on is an impervious surface piece. I have heard that the Water Resources Commission is working on an update for stormwater, which would be good. Because all of our stormwater reviews and so forth go through the county. And they actually have very progressive of stormwater management requirements. I guess the only other thing would be because she's also on card, and so I haven't heard any updates on that either. Anyone else have anything on natural ecosystems or water? And Marty was the one that was really pushing for doing some sort of teach-in too. So remind me when we get to that point. Regenerative agriculture and local food. Tim.
Yeah,
David.
I've got a little to say about that. I was at the Washtenaw Conservation District's annual meeting, and it was really good. And they do it once a year. That's what an annual meeting is, isn't it? They do it once a year, and this time it was at the Ypsilanti Freight House, which was very good. And they had a speaker in talking about agriculture in the city of Detroit and how important that is to the city, and that was good too. Then what was it? Just Tuesday was the county environmental council meeting, and Megan DeLue was in that, and she gave a presentation on the USDA and what what the program is, the CSF program for and that is Sustainable Farms program that's coming through the USDA, and it's really, you know, the USDA mostly deals with commodity farms, corn, soybeans, and wheat farms, but there are parts of that program, and it's billions of dollars that are being dedicated toward helping the commodity farmers, basically. But there's a section that relates to small farms too. And the state of Michigan has gotten, I don't know, $32 million, something like that, of that budget to dedicate to teaching local farms. And I don't mean just locally here, but state of Michigan farms to farm more sustainably. And mostly that means cover crops and very little tillage and some other things. And it's good. It's a good thing. You know, I'd like to see a little more emphasis on small farms in the local communities around Michigan, but that's coming.
Yeah.
And
Dana, any thought on how to link the wings with this? Would they be interested in USDA money to
the wing farm?
their profits? Yeah.
Oh, you know, yeah, I think that they're probably on top of it. But Jan, that's a good idea. I should just try to send a note down there to those guys and see if they're on it, because they should be. I think they do practice some, you know, there's two generations of wings on that property now, and the younger generation is a lot more on sustainable agriculture than the older generation.
Yeah, because I noticed they did do some tilling and there isn't a cover crop, but you know, I don't know if it's coming or not, but I don't know. Dana, do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, Tim is correct that the younger generation, Brandon, would be much more receptive to these things, you know. So, yeah, we can talk to them, but in general, you know, they're I'm going to say they're anti-government, but you know, they're old school farmers.
Yeah, but it's great that they have that farm going.
Yeah,
right
they have, I
in
mean, an amazing amount of acreage.
the
Oh,
middle of this
it is,
development.
it is a focal point of our township, you know.
It is.
So
Yeah, it's so visual and such a, you know, even though it's basically, well, you look at pumpkins, right? But basically you're looking at corn and soybeans when you drive down Miller and our Dexter Road. But I'm glad they're there. And perhaps someday we can, you know, conserve that land into perpetuity, and we'll see. But
Oh, I wanted to follow up with you too, Tim, on the you know, the city of Ann Arbor starting that sustainable food business coalition. Yeah, would you pass that along to your kind of network, that invitation to join?
Yep, I just got that from you today, and yep, I will. I don't know what they're planning to do with that, but I think I'll try to have a conversation with
Azella. Yeah, they had the vision statement and so forth on there. I know the 2030 district is partnering with them. We're going to deal with energy and water, and I have a partnership with Restart out of LTU to do specific food service energy stuff. But I know, and they're dealing with more the local food system and connections and food waste and that type of thing. So the 2030 district is doing the energy water piece, and they're trying to do more of the local food system
Yeah, and Jeff, are you there? Hey, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff.
I
I'm
see your
here. I
name.
had to unmute.
Yeah, good. So, you want to say a little bit about the composting efforts?
Yeah, we might as well switch to
Mhm.
materials and waste.
Yep, that's a
So
good transition.
I have 3 updates to make. The projects we're actively on. The first is whether we want to add that permanent recycling dumpster behind Township Hall. My opinion from last time is unchanged. GFL, we're continuing to hear resident complaints about GFL, and I don't want to invest any more with them until they prove they can straighten themselves out. So I want to keep that one on hold.
Mhm.
Number two, though, I'm trying to do an electronics collection. I do want to move ahead with that. I did get some data. I forwarded that to you, Jan,
Yeah.
when I got it. But just to brief everybody here, Dexter Township's Community Cleanup Day, they filled a 24-foot trailer full of styrofoam, which comes out to 823 pounds. I didn't think you could get 823 pounds of styrofoam. I didn't think it was possible, but they did. Electronic waste, over 13,000 pounds of electronics they collected, over 4,000 pounds of tires. And they also had a shredding service. They don't have the weight, but she says it was used all day. And they collected 340-yard containers full of scrap metal. So it was very popular. It sounds like it was very busy. I think if we offered the same thing here, maybe not the first time we do it, but as we settle into it, if we made it, say, a regular annual or semi-annual event, I'll bet we could be just as popular with dropping stuff off. So I think there's enough here to go back to Chupan and say, maybe not the styrofoam, but here's what Dexter Township got. What would it cost if you guys helped us with a similar type of program? So I would like to do that. And when I get a quote from them, then I can prepare something for Joyce and the board.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I think
that's
that
that's where we
fulfills a
are.
real need. Mhm.
Yeah. Now, the last thing is community composting. And and Tim know that I'm going to give a presentation a week from tomorrow on what they're doing at Gibbs House. And they have 2 major programs going there. The first is hothouse and garden beds that they are using, and they're using compost for, and they have a compost program for that. And the second half of their effort is called what they call the urban forest, where they've got concentrated specialty crops and trees and bushes. They've got something like less than an acre. It's really something to walk through to see the variety of what's there. And that all has to be fertilized and tended and all of that. So I've got a presentation from the 2 years I was there, 2019 and 2022, and point out some of the things we could do, especially how they do their composting. It's small scale composting, but it seems to work really well. And I would
Where's
love to
this
see.
again, Jeff?
This is at Gibbs House. It's part of Western Michigan. It's an old farm. It's an ancient farm that WMU now owns. And
Okay.
they have the Office of Sustainability has programs going at this place. So anybody can go out and volunteer, which is great. That's how I got my credits for the Master Composter program, was going out there. So it's really fun. It's worth checking out if you've got any interest in that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So I've got a presentation that I can do, and then I'd like to say, it would be great if we could pilot a couple of these ideas here somewhere.
Mhm. Any chance of engaging Mike Vestergaard in that discussion at all, or
That's
that
what I'm hoping
presentation?
Tim can give us an in on that one.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm sorry I dropped the ball on that, but I got to
We got time.
give Mike a call. But
Mhm.
Jeff, where I think this is down now. You've been talking to Abby Morris, and isn't she arranging a time for you to give that presentation?
Yes, it's February 9th.
Right.
Yeah, it's on the calendar. I forgot what time, but it's on the calendar. And I don't have any objection to opening that to other folks who want to sit in and listen to it.
Mhm. Mhm.
I would have to clear it with Abby, but
Mhm.
I have no objection.
Yeah, I'm sure she would be open to that too. Yeah.
I would think so, and I would think it'd be a good thing, particularly that it's geared toward, small scale composting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How to do it and what to do. Jeff, I I don't think I've told you, but I had a pretty good conversation with Abby Morris, who is and Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but she is the county's new hire for matters relating to composting. And I think that's her entire job, isn't it, Jeff?
That sounds right to me.
Yeah. So that's good. That's a really good thing. And
Mhm.
the county may be, depending on how things go, but the county may be trying to put together a composting system at large for the county that
Mhm.
mimics what Ann Arbor has done.
Mhm.
Yeah, but even a small scale where you can do community education, as well as where residents could bring their food waste up to a certain point.
Mhm.
As
them
you
all
know, it
rolling.
takes, I'm sorry, Jeff, it takes machinery, some big machinery, and it takes some budget to make that happen. And so it may get delayed a bit.
If you want to make a composting farm, yes. But if you just want to show the small scale operation like they have at Gibbs House, it's not a huge investment at all.
Right. You're right.
Mhm.
All it
Okay.
takes.
Well, it sounds like a good place to start.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. And then maybe, as the ability to engage some other folks, and a lot of people have plenty of space to compost, and it's sort of
Mhm.
reaching the folks that, don't. One is when you have space to compost, how you compost, and then the folks that don't have space to compost, what are the options? Yeah.
Right. Yep.
Mhm.
Okay, Bob, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, I don't, Jeff. Thanks.
Okay.
All right, that's all I got.
All right. All right. Mobility.
I'm going to jump off now, but thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. And thanks for, doing all this research. It's really
Absolutely.
helpful.
Hey, Jeff.
Mhm.
Hi, Jeff. Okay, so mobility, the main things that I worked on this past month, not much really, but in response to Pam Boyd's comment at our last meeting, she was thinking that it would be a good idea to address issues of EV fire safety. And that might be something that was frightening to people and new and different. And what can we do to help people be as safe as possible? And what I discovered is that I found a couple of pages on the US Fire Administration webpage, one on electric vehicle fire safety, I should say. And I have linked to that and also to another page on battery fire safety. And basically, it's just a list of suggestions about, that you need to get proper outlets put in, the proper, getting yourself set up for a charger in your garage and all that kind of thing. And that you shouldn't use extension cords. Just a lot of safety suggestions of that sort, just little tips, very positive. Both of those pages, they're short, and both of those pages have at the bottom of the page graphics so that you can print up little two-sided things for residents if you want to do that. And I was just thinking it would be a good idea to place both those links under the what's our group that has to do with not sustainability.
But the mobility piece, or
Not the mobility piece. Well, I thought the mobility piece, we should put the electric vehicle fire safety. But I thought we should also have that again linked.
Resilience.
Yes, resilience. That's the word I'm looking
good.
for. Under
Yes.
resilience, have that both that and the battery fire safety as links. And then also, I was just wondering if the chief would be interested maybe getting a quick little message with the social media graphics and popping them out on our Facebook page or the fire department has their own Facebook page too. So
that would be great. Go ahead and send what you want to put in, under in the ESTF website. You can send that directly to Mary Gillis and just tell her, please put this under this and this under that. And then Terry, do you have Terry's email at the fire department?
No.
She does their communications, and you could, I'll send you her email and you can copy Chief Hood and Terry, and they could take it from there.
Okay. And see what they'd like to work with that. And then the other part was, I did find an article from, I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's from a publication called IEEE Spectrum for the Technology Insider. I don't, know the organization especially, but it looked very legit and high level. But it was a very short article that's very recent, within the past couple of months, called Extinguishing the EV Battery Fire Hype. Subheading, the numbers don't support persistent fears of lithium-ion conflagrations. And one thing they mentioned, there's a 2023 study of recent data from Bureau of Transportation Statistics and the NTSB that internal combustion engines were involved in 1,530 fires per 100,000 sold, whereas EVs, 25 out of 100,000 sold. So they really don't cause fires as often as some things that you might see on the internet. They're a little safer overall. Of course, there are fires. Everything has fires, and they have to be dealt with differently, and we're learning that apparently. But I don't know if there was if we should do anything with an article like that. Link it to, should that be linked into, or not?
I mean, it could be, you could suggest, because they all write, they have what they're writing in the newsletter too. And it might be a way of suggesting there's been some concern raised about this.
Okay. If they want to, because the other, you don't want to.
Because they may have other priorities or at some time, but Pam, go ahead.
Yes. So Kathy, awesome. As it turns out, in the newsletter I'm writing this weekend, I have an article, if you will, from Chief Hood, and he is describing the electric car fire that they had and the technology that they're using to put it out. So my question to you is, would you have those two documents linkable that I could add at the bottom of that, or as a separate, that the Sustainable Task Force, if you want to write up something, I can put as kind of but wait, there's more. Here's some good information for people who have an electric car or are thinking about getting an electric car. So if that's possible, the newsletter will be going out Sunday night. If everything works out.
That's great. Note e-bikes too, because they have batteries, and there've been e-bike battery issues too.
And the other thing is that Terry is working on developing probably a monthly newsletter from the fire station. And I think, keep that on your radar.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
She's awesome. I have to say.
She's very good. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Bob.
I will say that bike batteries are not all unlike car batteries are, the name brand car batteries are well established, but the cheap bicycle batteries, they come in all different quality sizes.
Where they come from makes a difference.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yo.
Okay, that's pretty much all I had for the transportation right now. And unless Jan, if you want to say anything about the bus.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's the second meeting, I believe, yeah, it's tomorrow. There's a transportation committee that is meeting, and one gathering data. And actually, I was astounded at the bus service that we have. I didn't realize that within a mile of a fixed route, any fixed route, there's like a flex ride that you can do. Senior citizens and those with disabilities, there's a qualification or whatever, it reduced rate or free. And it begs, how do you illustrate the transportation options that exist in Scio Township? And AATA is actually increasing the frequency of the Jackson Road to Meyer bus route. So part of this is fact finding. What do we have? One of the interesting facts that AATA brought up was ridership on some lines has recovered about 90% from the pandemic. They got nailed in the pandemic. It was just ridership dropped. I don't know what the percentage is, but it was dramatic. In fact, I think their average cost per ride was like between $9 and $10, just because of the low ridership. But only 10% of their dollars that they get in their budget is from fares, which I thought was really interesting. Feds contribute the capital expenses, and state does some other things. So there's a lot of governmental support for public transit. So it's kind of interesting. So they did pass their 2045 plan, which might be another newsletter item that we might want to just link to, that people could talk about, because they are doing increased frequency. They're doing an express from Ann Arbor to Ypsi. The other really interesting plan is the U of M 2050 campus plan. They've got some express routes that they're doing. And so it's kind of a very interesting kind of transportation time. So one, I guess what we're doing, is figuring out what we've got. Figuring out, we just gave them, where the new developments are. And then we'll get into more of a discussion of, what the projected services are, what's in the 2045 plan, does that meet Scio's needs, etc. And the collaboration between WAVE and AAATA. WAVE gets AAATA gives WAVE about $100,000 for their services. And so just understanding it, it's kind of a web in a way, but interesting. But my biggest thing is, I don't think most of the township even knows, except for maybe, the Jackson Road bus. I know some folks from is it Scio Hills or whatever, take the bus into Ann Arbor. I walked to Skyline and pick up that bus, but I'm not sure people really know what's available. And, so how do you make it accessible to folks, and try it, because it does take some navigation and understanding. So anyway,
some of the bus companies in other parts of the country have had, and I know Ann Arbor does too, I think, a free day, or not a free day, but like a free week or a free month, or something of that sort that's heavily advertised. Give the bus a try. It's free. And for this time, and you can see if it works for you.
Yeah. I have to, figuring out, I didn't even know those flex ride things were an option. So yeah. And it would also be good to target some folks to, write about their experiences, right?
Get stories going.
Yeah. About, this is how I got from A to B, etc. I've seen one that wasn't the connections didn't work so well,
Right.
but I think it was a 3-hour trip. So anyway, But I think the increased frequency along Jackson Road will be good.
Jan, you take the bus sometimes?
Before COVID, I did. Yeah, I would walk to Skyline, and it's a mile, and then take the bus downtown. Yep.
Where did you pick it up again?
At Skyline.
Oh, high school. Interesting.
Yeah, I can also, ride a bike there too, when I'm late. But I've been actually this summer. I got an e-bike, and I've been that's been a nice ride into town. I can get anywhere on campus in 30 minutes with the e-bike. Yeah.
Park anywhere almost.
What's that?
Sorry, Bob.
No, I would just say you can park anywhere on the bike then, practically.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. On campus, some of those bike racks are full. So, okay. Resilience Chief Hood isn't here. I haven't finished the resilience rankings either, to see where those are at. So I guess we don't have any updates on resilience, but okay. Outreach.
Jan, I could probably add that Resilient Washtenaw, the county has hired a full-time person to work on implementing the Resilient Washtenaw plan. And the Board of Commissioners has approved that, and they've approved a budget now for this year.
That's great.
And
they also got a Climate Corps person.
I'm sorry?
They also got a Climate Corps person for a year. It's like an AmeriCorps thing. Yeah. So they have they'll be hiring a person to assist in the sustainability piece.
Are you talking about the person they've already hired?
This is the state of Michigan launched what's called Climate Corps, which is like an AmeriCorps Vista. It's people who are interested in working on climate issues. And it was kind of competitive because they only did 30 throughout the state, and Washtenaw County got one kind of for this area. Yeah. So
but there's a budget now for more staff to implement the Resilient Washtenaw plan, which is good. The Board of Commissioners is doing what they can to support the plan and make it real, which is what's got.
It's pretty interesting to see Ann Arbor, because once they pass that millage, their Office of Sustainability Innovation, I think they're up to 18 people, and they have 9 AmeriCorps people. So yeah, that's how they're launching. And there's some stuff we can piggyback off of for sure, that they're sharing. They're being pretty good about sharing their expertise, but they probably won't share they have a home energy advisor plan where people can actually get a home energy assessment and looking at doing then the electrification, and help them work through the planning, whether they need to replace their electric panel first, and just go through the whole electrification, weatherization, electric panel, and then electrification of your equipment. So that's they're using Walker Miller. I don't know. They've been doing energy efficiency stuff for a very long time. So it'll be interesting to see how that works. And that's in conjunction then with they passed if you sell a house in Ann Arbor, it has to be listed with an energy rating. So
yeah, and there's a lot of money. You kind of alluded to that through the IRA. What is that Reduction Act?
Inflation Reduction Act. Yeah, if you're at a certain income level, it's like $14,000 that you can get, depending on upon your income. And there's I have to put that actually on the website now, but there's a you can put together a whole plan over multiple years. Because if you're a high income person, the tax credit has a ceiling each year. But if you plan what you're doing, you can take advantage every year of that tax credit. And
Right.
then you have that 30% for solar or geo or whatever, and that doesn't count to some of these, equipment replacement stuff.
Right. And it covers a broad range of
Mhm.
things that you can do
Yeah.
buying
Yeah.
an electric vehicle and weatherizing your home better and installing new electric panels and
Yeah, and then the
Exactly.
other thing that's going to happen, there are two things that are going to happen. The state is also going to have some rebates. I know it's going to be income qualified kind of thing, but they're going to have rebates. And then legislation was just passed that DTE now has to, well, all utilities in their energy waste reduction programs. Before they were siloed. So if you wanted to replace your gas furnace, but you made it a heat pump, you couldn't get a rebate because you were changing fuels, you were fuel switching. And so now they've said that in 2025, for their 2025 rebate program, they have to submit a plan that allows rebates for fuel switching. So that'll also change some things, I think. So
Electrify America. That's the
yeah,
name.
or Rewire America. Yeah, Rewire America has all it has a really good workbook. Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. All right. So outreach plans. I had a thanks to Chris isn't on, but he connected me with the Michigan EV, Southeast Michigan EV group. And they did their EV whatever, come and talk to us about EV vehicles. Last year there's I guess a national week or whatever, and they want to do it October 6th. And I talked to the folks, the corporate folks. He gave me their contact information, and they're very supportive. They said, yeah, we want to support you doing this. And we think we have space in the parking lot where both of you could do it. We would rent a 30 by 40 tent and then have a little pop-up for the e-bikes, and then they would do the EVs and maybe two pop-ups, one for all the electric yard equipment, that kind of thing. And then that would allow us to have like about 18 tables in that tent. So the next step is they were going to talk to the actual Meyer manager and then get back with us. But corporate was very supportive. So
That's great.
yeah.
And Jan, I wrote a little note on the chat box, but it might be a good thing if Jeff Jackson could give his presentation at a certain time on October 5th, at Meyer, if we had, I don't know if he needs a screen or what.
Yeah, it's going to be a little dicey to have power out there, I think, but maybe we can get, I think it's Homeland or one of the other ones have a solar powered kind of generator or something that we might be able to do, which would be great also as a demonstration. So we'll
battery.
Yeah, good idea. I think that would give us a few more tables than we had. So I know who contacted me. It was they do a bike repair. They do like bike repair, and they wanted to do a little clinic in conjunction with our fair. So
bike repair. Yeah. And if we have, whatever the times are, 2 p.m. for Jeff Jackson and 3 p.m. for the bike repair, we might attract more people.
Yeah, you could have little mini workshops, right?
Are you talking about Common Cycle? Was that the?
Yeah, it was Common Cycle.
Common Cycle. Okay, good.
Thank you. I couldn't remember the name. But that's a great idea, Tim, so that you actually have, some focused pieces that people could, target. And I know with Tim's connection to the the sometimes we could probably get, and this year we know we would know way far ahead, and we could get it actually in the Observer rather than just on their online event page and so forth. So I think we could do, and then get it in the summer newsletter too. So
Right. So does that cover your sustainability fair?
mm-hmm.
I mean, on the agenda is.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So spring native plants. We are Andy and Anna are talking with Joyce about getting it before the Board of Trustees. We have a proposal to do the native plug planting in front of the solar array at the fire station. There's a meadow seed mix that can go under. So you don't have to have gravel underneath the solar panels. You can have actually a seed mix and then do more of a prairie. They want to keep some lawn between like the solar array and the road for some of their events and things, but it would be doing prairie all around that storage barn that they've got. And so the idea is it'd probably be, we're shooting for June 1st. And we could engage Mike Apple would be doing the work, and he's just really great. People could come and volunteer and plant the plugs and learn how to plant the plugs, but at the same time have somebody from either the water resources or the county conservation district really talk about different types of native plants and so forth. So people they could learn, and I think it could be a really good workshop. Yeah, Bob.
What date did you say that was? Because
June 1st.
Okay, because you've got March 1st, you got native plant workshop, so I didn't.
March 1st. Oh.
Spring 2024.
Oh. Do I have that? I'm gonna do that.
Oh. That's
no, those are the deadlines for the newsletter. And what kind of content we want to plan for it. Yeah. You're on mute again.
I do that.
Okay. All right.
Is there a mechanism for maintaining these planting areas?
Yeah, the fire department is up. They have to, for about 2 years, you do need to do some watering. And they know that there would be at some point probably maybe a prescribed burn, which they're good with. So that's, part of it is.
My experience is, and we did a lot of these with our firm, and it takes knowledge to properly maintain them. You need to know the difference between what is a wildlife planting and a weed.
Yeah. I know.
They're not always that easily to distinguish.
Right, and sometimes
Yeah.
some people call them weeds, right?
A lot of them in subdivisions in the master detention pond areas and so forth, and we just had troubles with them being maintained and over a period of time.
I agree, because I know there was one, like WISD they did a huge planting around their detention basin, and I watched every year they mowed closer and closer and closer. But
I guess my suggestion is to think about getting somebody that's knowledgeable. Maybe there's somebody in the township that would be volunteer that has that knowledge to assist, but you have to hire a consultant to come in a couple of times a year or something and teach people.
Yeah, and Mike Apple does that, and he actually does the prescribed burns. Actually, there's another guy that lives on Park Ridge who does prescribed burns too, and understands the maintenance of the meadows and so forth. So yeah, those would be, and maybe we'll tap into him because he's a resident, and
sure,
that'd be a good volunteer thing for him.
We always have the extension service. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but they teach a class in planting the rain gardens, so they know about wildflowers and maintenance.
Yeah, and actually that reminds me, with that, we should probably have a rain garden kind of piece too. I don't think there's necessarily an opportunity there, but certainly that ties in with the whole native planting thing. So that could be a nice, the thought was June 1st is a Saturday, do a 10 to 12 kind of thing.
The Sierra Club might have somebody who could, come in for free, because that's what they do.
Yeah. And Mike Apple does that. That's his whole business. And I think I don't know if he'll get it from wild types or from feral flora, but those are typically his sources for the plants. So that's the other thing, is introduce people to the where you can source those.
Whatever grasses they plant can't grow so high they cover the solar panels.
Yeah, well, and also underneath, because you have electrical running through there. So that's where they've actually developed a meadow seed mix for under solar panels. So they're really interested actually in monitoring it. And with the fire department there, who else is going to get worried, right?
Yeah.
So I think it'll be a really good demonstration project. Yeah.
There's also another relatively local native plant company that's growing fast out in Manchester, called New Leaf. I think it's New Leaf, and they are well known, and they and feral flora know each other and seem to be buddy. So they have a lot more in the way of grasses and shrubs kinds of things than feral flora does.
Yeah, and that's like if you go up to wild types, they've got the
Wild
trees
types,
and the shrubs, and it's pretty amazing. So having those sources, I think, and the education piece would be great.
Conservation District, I think, has some seed mixes that they offer.
Well, they do their native plant sale too. Yeah, and so does Mathi. Mathi has a native plant sale too. Yeah, so lots of neat sources. So hopefully we can get a good group kind of fired up to do something different. Website, just a reminder for all the groups to continue to update their sections in the website, and people can just do that with Mary. She's really accessible and does that. So when you find a good resource, send that to her, and review the resources that are there. There might be some that are older that you want to update or something like that. So just a reminder that's our kind of, other than the newsletters and so forth, our main way of getting information out to folks.
Is there any way to make it more visible? Then, because as it is, it looks like people have to go to our committee's little page first before they can get to that. And I'm just wondering if there can be anything that directs people there, or
I don't know.
Put it in the
You know
banner.
what's nice is if you Google like Scio sustainability, it will come up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's actually helpful if people don't know the jump.
Well, could they put it in the banner, a link to it, just on the front page of the
sustainability resources or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll ask Mary if she can do that. Some sort of tab, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I don't go to it very much because it's kind of embedded.
Yeah, agree. And I think a lot of people don't even know it's there. So, but it just, the groups need to maintain their sections. Okay. Marty isn't here. I just wanted to get some feedback. She thought, and now that we have a June event, we have an October event, maybe a teach-in kind of thing is more of a winter kind of event. And we can talk to her. Her idea was to do something in the meeting hall where there'd be a series of very content-rich presentations and discussions about the different focus areas. And she wanted to really do the natural ecosystems and water first, and maybe there's a series that we could do, because you could do that. They could be hybrid, they could be recorded, they could be then put on the website, and people could view them at their own leisure. So I'll hopefully she'll be feeling better, and maybe we can, that, because I think that would be a nice winter kind of activity for folks. I don't know, thoughts? Do you think people would come?
They might, yeah. I mean, that's a good time of the year for an indoor meeting.
Yeah, maybe do it like a year from now or something. Yeah.
Depending on snowfall, we gotta be careful. We don't, because we're so enthused, we can't expect a lot of events to attract a lot of people.
Yeah, but I'm hoping that, with the native plant thing, we can also let people know about the resources that we've got. There's a little ESTF table that says, hey, and then also we're going to be doing the sustainability fair. And, hopefully people, if we continue to have some certain annual events, it becomes a part of, the community expectation or resource within the township. Okay. Newsletter. Down below, Mary published the deadlines and so forth, and so both I put when the articles are due in the publication date, because you always have to take into account when it's going to actually get mailed out to folks. So we were thinking of the composting article, and because there was an issue, there was actually a complaint about UPIC having a bunch of timbers and stuff out on their space that people didn't understand what they were doing with it. And so that would be sort of an education piece about what's going on there and how however they're doing the composting works, so people can get an idea that it isn't it isn't a junk pile. It's actually a resource and food, and then also publicize the native planting workshop. Other thoughts on what we want to cover in the spring? I think they're due March 1st, so we really have to get that done this month.
Well, how much space can we take?
Well, if a typical large article is 1,000 words. If we think we're going to have more than that, I can contact Mary and say, hey, we want to do this, this, and this, and we're thinking it's this big.
Right.
Well, don't you think that between those two, you're going to get to 1,000 words?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that if there were any other things. I guess the only other one would be if we know, and I don't think between now and July we would necessarily do the e-recycling.
Right.
Yeah, because otherwise, yeah. So we just have to have a date for that by the June 10th.
If you had information that came ready for the public on battery safety, charging safety, maybe that could be put in the March 1st as well.
Okay.
I mean, if it was ready by then.
Yeah. Okay. I just added that.
And I'm noticing that with the publication date of October 10th, we'd have to advertise the fair, sustainability fair in the summer.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I mean, October 10th is the fall.
Mhm.
Which
Right.
would cover it, but
Yep. You're right. We have to do that in the summer. Mm-hmm.
10th. Yeah.
Mhm. And I'm gonna see if we can't get some sponsorships too, because the tent rental's probably going to be about I don't know, $700 or $800, I think, plus some tables and chairs and stuff. So it's probably $1,000 just to do the setup piece for that. Mhm.
Yes.
And
So
Myers, yeah, they said, oh no, and we won't charge you anything, so that's good. I wanted to make sure they weren't going to do that.
So Jen,
Mhm.
you gotta get the money out of the township coffers, right?
Yeah, I submitted a budget for ESTF for some things, and hopefully it gets in there. I think the budget is on the agenda for next Tuesday.
How much did you apply for?
I have to remember, I have to go back to my notes. I think it was about 5,000 because it included some mapping things, to do our metrics and that. And then there was another hunk of money to do the zoning updates and the J-Rod updates. Mhm. Yeah, so, and that's in addition to the recycling. They were going to put another $40,000 in the budget for, so that would be available for the e-cycling, maybe supporting some composting efforts, etc., correcting, or adding to the recycling mailer. And I did find out that GFL did pay for half of that mailer. The other half came out of that $40,000 that we had in last year's budget. Yeah. So, okay. So, we do have, well, if it passes, and we would have some funding to do some of those things.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, we're at 8:15. And Pam's newsletter, I think we do want to. So if you can help with the EV thing, and then, Pam, as you hear things that, might involve ESTF, that there's discussion in the community about certain things, you could contact one of the task force members, focus
Okay.
group or something like that to say, hey, we could use a little information on this or whatever. Mhm.
What I will probably end up doing early next week is posting Chief Hood's article on Nextdoor.
Hmm.
And so I did that last month and got a nice conversation going. And
Mhm.
so if I have you guys in on that, with some links that you're adding as part of stuff that you're doing, then you would get in on that as well. So
Okay. Yeah, good, great.
Good.
Thank you. Mhm. Yeah. All right. Anything else? Oh, SEMCOG. I forgot SEMCOG.
Yeah, SUMCOG, just to let everybody know, I've been going to SUMCOG meetings for a while now on behalf of Scio Township, both just as their general assembly. Scio wanted to get more involved with what's going on in SUMCOG, especially now that all this grant money is coming through and everything. And it's difficult for people who are working to make the meetings, which are often downtown Detroit or further away. And so I was basically placed in the position of being the alternate delegate after Kathy Knoll. And I've been going to meetings both of the General Assembly, and I got myself on what's called their Healthy Climate Task Force, which is their climate action plan, essentially. So been going to that, and I just wanted to quickly let you know we had a meeting this past week. This was precipitated because a lot of communities in SEMCOG are interested in doing climate action plans, and doing all those sorts of things and understanding what other communities are doing, but also in particular and with urgency because the EPA came up with what's called a climate pollution reduction grant program, $4.6 billion nationally, available in grants. So we're doing a two-part kind of thing. First, we put together a preliminary, or what's it called? A priority climate action plan, which we just finished putting together. It's going to be approved by their executive committee at the end of this month, I believe, and they need to get it into the EPA for approval March 1st. It basically sets, what they did is they took all of the EPA requirements and priorities, and they fed it out to all of us and to different areas of Southeast Michigan, and what are our priorities, where's the overlap, what can we take the most advantage of and have the best chances of getting grants. So that's all put together at this point. It's all really short timelines. In the areas, it fairly closely looks like our plan in some ways. Priority measures include decarbonizing buildings and industry, modernizing mobility systems, managing waste materials sustainably, expanding renewable electricity generation, and optimizing natural and working lands. They also, because it's federal government, there's very strong leaning towards favoring of communities that have fair levels of lower income or at-risk people. Poorer, older infrastructure, that kind of thing. So we're not an obvious choice for getting a lot of funding, and you have to kind of have things right in the pipeline and ready to go at this point. But I'm in there close in making reports back to the Board of Trustees on what is available and what the priorities are. And once we get this grant funding part done, then we're going to spend the next year and a half working on more general climate action plan that's more following more closely the needs specifically of Southeastern Michigan. So that's just the quick update. We're in the middle of it right now, and the final stages of getting grant applications in for that first part. So I just wanted to update you.
Yay, thank you, Kathy.
Yeah, also, I was going to mention also, I see that Andrew DeLue has been at every single meeting and taking notes copiously. So he would be someone that's really up to date on all of that. And if anybody wanted to see if there's anything we can do to help anything the county puts in, I have no idea if they're going into it. And Ann Arbor is very involved, as you might guess. So that's it.
And that visibility is great. I forgot to mention in the Transportation Committee report is I believe it's in March. The Scio Township will be applying for a grant for transportation planning for the Jackson Road corridor, and from SEMCOG. And I think I want to say there's like $50,000 available or something like that. And we've never done a grant from SEMCOG before, so that'll be really helpful, and it'll dovetail in with sort of the zoning update and so forth to really look at that corridor and the transportation needs and linkages, since that is our main, artery.
In the Washtenaw Environmental Council meeting last Tuesday, the person in charge, Kathy, you probably know this person in charge of vehicles and so on for the county, gave a SEMCOG presentation, and it was good. And so the county is on it and plans to get good chunk from that grant.
Yeah, there was another grant that I just didn't have the energy to pursue, but it's an MPSC grant for renewables and so forth, and would be a great opportunity to develop renewables in Scio, but we just don't have a plan yet for where those renewables might go and, how to do it. Ann Arbor's been struggling a little bit with their landfill solar project. They had to reduce it and so forth. It was way over, nobody wants to subscribe to it if it costs you more, right? When you can do My Green Power and it costs you less. So they're trying to work on that, but there is a certain scale, I guess, to make it affordable when well, anyway. The other thing the Planning Commission talked about was they did pass legislation that 50 megawatt solar farms and 100 megawatt wind farms will now be permitted by the state. And well, the Scio isn't cited well for wind, so and these are like utility scale. They would be 1,000 acres to be that large. So I'm not sure anybody could put together 1,000 acres in Scio. I'd be really surprised if they could do that. So it's more how do we promote some community solar, which isn't permitted yet, but it's going to get there. And then just make sure that we don't remove the barriers for people that are using solar as an accessory use. We really are silent on that. But it seems to be, everything seems to be working, just declare it an accessory use, and then it's more straightforward. So the issue really is, as a principal use, what are we comfortable with and what kind of setbacks and so forth. So if there are some non-productive farm areas that might be suitable for solar, and so that's kind of what we're pursuing as far as that zoning.
Do you know, would it have to be on one piece of land, 1,000 acres? Could it be divided?
They're looking for contiguous. This is utility scale. It would have to be a contiguous 1,000 acres, and so that's yeah. So it'd be pretty. I'd be surprised if anybody could put together 1,000 acres in Scio contiguous.
No, we're not going to do that here in Scio Township, but somewhere in the state, and it could be possibly married up with agriculture and at least part of it, and that would allow some farms or a farmer to get a lot of assistance to make that happen, to graze.
The U of M farm is experimenting with some of that, how to integrate solar and agriculture, and I don't think they're doing animal husbandry, but there's some other groups. I think MSU is doing that with some animal husbandry too with the solar.
Yeah, I mean, on a large scale, that makes it attractive for the farmer if there's income from the utility or whatever it is.
Yeah. So, okay, public comment. Anybody have anything else to add? Questions? Bob?
Approval of minutes.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. That's after public comment.
Okay. I missed that.
Rob and Pam are probably.
And Jonathan. Okay. All right, then we'll just go on and approval of the minutes. Thank you again, Kathy. Any additions or changes to the minutes? All right. All those in favor?
Move to approve them.
Okay. Is there support?
Yep.
Tim?
Support.
All right. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We are approved. And then the announcements are just basically March 7th is our next meeting, and before that we have to get the articles done. So let's see. So we've got the composting piece. We'll work with Bob, Jeff, and probably Karen on that. And native planning workshop, I can work with Mike Apple on that, and maybe Marty if she's feeling up to it. Battery safety, you want to take that one, Kathy? Okay, great.
Okay.
All right. Then the only other thing is update those web resources. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We're almost at 8:30, but
Do we
Okay.
need to have a motion to adjourn? If so,
Yes, thank you. Support? Yay, Bob. All right, all those in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you, everyone.
all right, thanks, Sharon.
Jan,
Yeah,
do you have a few minutes after the recording stops?
sure. Let me